And welcome everybody, Buckeye Nation, the OHIO channel, the OHIO podcast. This is Cory with Buckeye Therapy. Dr. Cory, I suppose you know me by now. Pretend doctor here on YouTube, pretend therapist, because I would never pretend to be an actual doctor, uh, because I'd probably go to jail. Anyways, no, guys, we're here to have some fun tonight. We're gonna talk Julian Sand and Ryan Day. Obviously, we as you saw on the thumbnail there. Because it seems to be the hot topic right now is we're waiting through this off season, right? We're just what we're going to anticipate. We're anticipating online math tutor, nice. I see people are starting to file in. Appreciate you guys as always, I'll be up front here. Um, I've had two glitches lately on this channel. I don't, or not the channel, but on the software. I don't know why. But if I love seeing your um I love seeing your interactions. I love seeing what you guys say, and I enjoy interacting with it. The only issue is every time it glitches on me, I no longer can see what people are saying in the comment section. So I'm not ignoring you if that happens. I'll let you know if I see a glitch or something along those lines happens. I apologize if it does, but it's definitely uh, been an issue the last couple of times that we've recorded here at the Buckeye Therapy session. So, but again, we're talking about Julian Sand, and hey, Richard, how you doing, buddy? Julian Sand and Ryan Day today. It's a hot topic. It's the off season, and like I said earlier, it's something that we're all trying to think of things to talk about. And the hot topic right now is Julian Sand. So I decided to do a little bit more of a deep dive into what I think that we can expect from Julian Sand, why I think he's going to be a um, a great the next great Ohio State quarterback, and I think it has a lot to do with who he is, obviously, but obviously I think it has to do a lot with one man, and one man is named Ryan Day, who I will argue is the greatest QB developer in all of college football, if not football, period, but at least college football. He's been immensely successful with our quarterbacks, and I know people want to point to Kyle McCord, but I'd more say that has to do with the marriage of the offense and maybe Kyle and his family's attitude with Ohio State at that year, more so than Kyle's talent or Ryan Day's ability to um, develop quarterbacks. I think he's. I'm sorry, but I think he's more than proven himself. I mean, JT Barrett got much better under Ryan Day when he got here as a QB coach. Dwayne Haskins had an all timer Big Ten year, and they actually shifted the offense just for him. And when Ryan Day took a promotion and was QB coach and the offensive coordinator, along with Kevin Wilson. What else he did? I mean, Justin Fields was raw, very, very raw when he came in. In fact, I think what we're going to see with Julian Sand is going to this in his first year starting. I'm going to compare a little bit to Justin Fields, CJ Stroud. But speaking of CJ Stroud, who came right after Justin Fields, the legend, the myth, the guy who could, you know, the best ball placement we've ever seen at Ohio State, best high processing QB reading, high football IQ we've ever seen at quarterback position at Ohio State with CJ Stroud. And of course, we had the Kyle McCord year, as I just explained. But then Will Howard comes in, and let's be real. I mean, he came in as a guy who we were with mixed reviews. We didn't know what to expect from him, and he became a national title quarterback. And he's had some first round buzz. I don't think he'll end up in the first round, but he doesn't get that buzz without Ryan Day. And I know they all credit their individual QB coaches and things like that. Like Corey Dennis has been credited in the past. Bill Fessler has been credited with Will Howard. But I'll tell you, and I'm not saying that those guys can't coach, but I'm saying there's one common denominator among all of them, and that is Ryan freaking Day. Whatever you think of him as a head coach at times, that dude is an absolute QB developer and understands the position as well as anybody. And we are lucky to have him because we not only does he bring in great QB recruits, obviously, but that you know what, I forgot I had my TV on. I actually saw it in the background just flashing, and I'm like, let me get that off of there. I had Rocky 3 on, if anybody was wondering. Anyway, that being said, um, so hey, lunatic French, how you doing? That being said, you know, there's nobody who understands. There's a reason why Ryan Day is able to recruit incredible quarterbacks, and there's a reason why Ryan Day is able to develop them, is he understands the position better than anybody. But we're gonna dive in tonight about why Ryan Day is or why Julian Sand's going to be a successful quarterback at Ohio State. But we're also going to talk about what could derail it if at all possible. I'm not saying it will get derailed. I'm just saying got to look at all the possibilities, right? I mean, the physical tools are there. We just don't know anything about the intangibles right now. We don't know anything about the intangibles with him right now. Well, that'll be answered in due time. But there's a reason why this coaching staff likes him so much. So I don't know. Without further ado, why don't we say we dive right in? And I think the first thing you have to do with this is you have to talk about what Ryan Day's passing concepts are. I mean, we're going to talk about his offense a little bit. What are some of the key elements of Ryan Day's passing game? I mean, you've been watching it now for what, since 2017, since 2018, whatever. Look, he's a quick game rhythm passing QB coach. He emphasizes timing routes, or the QBs deliver the ball on schedule, receivers in space, slants, quick outs, hitches, shallow crossers, easy completions to keep the offensive in rhythm. Rhythm's a big deal to Ryan Day. Um, you see it all the time and back in the day. I mean, like the best example is he likes to get receivers in the open field to get yards after the catch. I mean, Chris Olave's debut game was a great example. His first touchdown against the team up north in 2018, that little shallow crosser where he just took it to the house. I mean, he's that's vintage Ryan. That's Ryan Day to a T, and it killed guys like Don Brown. But he also, he's very much involved in the vertical passing game, right? Yeah, Lunatic's right on. I'm going to post this right now. Lunatic is right on the money with these. Of the vertical passing game. Obviously it's a system of quick passes, like I just explained, but he loves to attack downfield. He utilizes deep posts are a big one, fades, double move routes. He spreads the field horizontally. Multiple wide receiver sets. He attacks vertically when the safeties get aggressive. It's been seen time and time again. He likes to take his shots, and he also does it through the play action. Play action's a big thing for Ryan Day. Day uses heavy play action to freeze linebackers and safeties. Setting up deep throws. Day is an absolute chess player as an offensive mind. He knows how to take advantage of what the defense is doing at any given time. And usually that's often paired with max protection. It allows the QB to take shots downfield with clean pockets. It allows the QB to it sets the QB up for success. And in the RPO, just as Lunatic French talked about. The RPO, I mean, Day loves the RPO. He quietly puts them in there. He sneaks them in there from time to time, but he does love the RPO. It allows the QB to make quick reads based on the defensive movement. If the linebackers bite on the run, the QB can pull the ball. If it hit a slant or the seam route, it helps the offense stay balanced. It makes it tough for defenses to key on anything. And y'all are talking like math theory and Pythagorean theorem in the group chat right now. Oh man, y'all are above my pay grade. I don't even know what 2+2 is these days, but this helps OSU. So I mean, like I said, stay balanced. And believe it or not, he used this a lot with Kyle McCord. I mean, but he actually trusted Kyle McCord to make quick decisions. A lot of times, people don't want to. People don't like Kyle McCord, but I actually maintain he's a talented quarterback in a bad situation. That didn't work for anybody in 2023, but he exploits mismatches clearly. He funnels targets to elite receivers, and we saw that with Jeremiah Smith, obviously relying, route running athleticism to win one-on-one matchups. He loves to create those one-on-one matchups. The offense, he spreads out the defense. He creates favorable alignments. Isolating a top receiver on a lesser DB. Man, he's a master at that. We saw that with Oregon. He got Jeremiah Smith all over the field, matching him up against safeties and linebackers and people who were not in his caliber to cover him. Again, we're wide receiver you for a reason with Brian Hartline, and Ryan Day knows how to take advantage of it. But he's also a progression based reads. I mean, this gets to be a little bit more further down the road with the quarterback when they develop. But anyway, he's on many college QBs rely on the pre. I mean, many college QBs who rely on the pre-snap reads or one read plays. OSU QBs under Ryan Day are taught going forward full field progressions. The QB is trained to work through first, second, and third reads to find the best option. But again, not usually early on. CJ Stroud was easily the best at this, and it helped him quickly transition into the NFL because not every QB is adept at that, but they usually develop it under Ryan Day. But so you're asking yourself right now, you say, okay, this is all nice, and this is all good to hear about Ryan Day's how he likes to run his passing game. But how does Julian Sand fit this, right? Well, Julian Sand has some strengths that actually fit into the system. And I'm really excited to see that. First of all, he's one of the most polished QBs to come out of high school, right into Ryan Day's lap because Nick Saban decided to retire. Uh, and obviously, Bill O'Brien came here for 2 weeks just to get his Ryan Day, I guess, because remember when Bill O'Brien was hired, he was the one who recruited Julian Sand. Julian Sand transferred, and Bill O'Brien went to Boston College. The rest is history. I was kind of curious to see how Julian Sand would fit the Chip Kelly offense, but that's not going to be an issue anymore. But it's quick processing and decision making are keys to Julian Sand's game. He's very good. He's perfect for that rhythm passing game. He's got elite accuracy, and accuracy is more than just hitting the receiver accurately, right? It's the accuracy is more about maximized opportunities with the wide receivers, maximizing yards after the catch. You hit them in rhythm, you hit them in stride. In those, we talked about the quick passing or the quick rhythm passing game from Ryan Day. We talk about the shallow crossers and things like that, little out patterns, things. You got to hit that receiver right on the money in order to maximize that play. And Julian Sand has the elite accuracy to do that. He's got poise under pressure. He can handle a full field progressions. That's because he's the most. Again, he's already shown aspects of that in his game where he can take a playbook and understand it. There's a couple. There's a couple weaknesses, by the way, that playbook thing is probably why more so than anything. I'm not saying he's more talented than any other QB that we've had in the program, but that playbook aspect to him is why he's probably putted ahead of everybody. There's a couple things about him. He's not necessarily known as a deep ball gunslinger. You got to have. Day loves QBs with lead arm strength. You know what I actually compared him to was I compared him to Joe Burrow. And I've said on Twitter, Julian Sand is going to look like as if Joe Burrow never left Ohio State. And Joe Burrow, honestly, he didn't come in with elite arm strength. And I will say this: Julian Sand's got better arm strength than Joe Burrow had when he came in. I'm not comparing the two, but the Joe Burrow, by the time he got to LSU, his arm strength had improved. You can improve somebody's arm strength through good footwork, your hip movement, your shoulder and placement, and things like that. It's just like a matter of how you throw the ball versus how strong your arm is. So he can get better at that. That's something that can be improved. But I see a good arm, not an elite arm right now. He's not known for his off-script playmaking, but that might even be a benefit to Ryan Day. I don't know, because he's such a system guy. But the thing is like I look at Julian Sand, he's the anti-Tate Martell. He's the anti-Johnny Manziel. He is a student of the game who can play in a system, and that's what you want more often than not. But you'd like to see a guy. Fields was a good improviser. Stroud developed into a pretty good improviser. You'd like to see a guy who could become a better improviser. Again, these are things that he can get better at. This isn't something that he's stuck in. This isn't like he's 5'8" and he's not growing in this. We're stuck with that. These are aspects of his game that he can actually get better at. So it doesn't even bother me right now. But overall, his accuracy, his football IQ, his timing, he just makes him a great fit for Ryan Day's system. But he need to show he can push the ball downfield consistently and create outside of the structure when needed. And we'll, give him time. We'll see if he can improve on that. We saw Joe Burrow improve with that. Joe Burrow wasn't necessarily known for that, and he got much better at those aspects of his game. But before we gotta get ugly before we get pretty here. It's not gonna. I'm not gonna give you like gumdrops, rainbows, puppy dogs, whatever. I'm gonna tell you the truth. There are reasons that could make him struggle in his development with Ryan Day, and I don't expect him to hit the ground running to where he's a Heisman contender first game. We're playing Texas, for crying out loud. But I do think it's not a slam dunk easy that he's going to be great. But I will say this. I'm confident he will, but there are things that we just don't know yet, right? There are things we don't know yet. The pressure of starting at a high profile program. Can you say for sure he can handle that? I mean, I mean, is this the understatement of the century? Ohio State quarterbacks are under intense scrutiny. Just saying. I don't know. I mean, I've heard once or twice that Ohio State quarterbacks are under intense scrutiny. If he doesn't handle pressure well, it's going to affect his mental game. It's going to affect how he plays at Ohio State. Ryan Day, he demands excellence, and honestly, the weight of the expectations combined with the constant media attention, they can be overwhelming for young quarterbacks. I mean, if he lets that external pressure impact his performance, it results in mistakes, inconsistent play, struggles in games. We end up with another Kyle McCord year, and he's got to win those big games coming up. But another issue could be limited time to adjust to the speed of college football. He's moving from high school to a high caliber program like Ohio State. It's a huge leap. It's a huge, massive leap, as any common sense will tell you. But again, I know he's been in college for a year now, and thankfully he's had a year to adjust to how things work in college. But still, he hasn't had a lot of playing time, and I know a lot of people get on Ryan Day about that. It's just one of the things I'm not extremely happy with Ryan Day about is he doesn't seem to get in the backup quarterbacks to you know he doesn't get in the backup quarterbacks to basically get reps in games they got blowouts. I mean, sometimes we're always asking ourselves, well, why is the guy not in yet? But um, if he doesn't adjust quickly enough to the speed of the game, though, here's the problem: we're playing Texas right away, and he's got to adjust quickly. That's as fast as it gets in college football. Um, High level defenses like those in the Big Ten, he's gonna struggle in the early part of his career. Does it actually take away from his confidence? Does it take away from the confidence of the coaching staff in him? I mean, the first few games or even the first season, it's probably going to be a huge adjustment for him. And if Sand isn't prepared for that jump in intensity, or does he not weather the storm, he could underperform early on. It affects your long-term development. It affects the fan base. It affects how people view you. And then all of a sudden the media comes down on you. The fan base comes down on you. Can he handle all that if he's not great right out the gate? Um, is he mentally tough enough to overcome adversity is another issue. We don't know. We have no idea. I mean, I'm not going to say he's not, but I have no idea. Um, Day's offense places a lot of pressure on young quarterbacks. I mean, especially things don't go as planned. I mean, Chris and I have talked about that frequently on this program. Uh, if he lacks the mental toughness to overcome adversity, I mean, his bad plays, mistakes, tough losses. I mean, it could hinder his development. He's got to have a strong resilience. A lack of resilience, might affect my mate. I actually combined may and might on that one. Might affect Sands' ability to bounce back from mistakes. This could lead to a loss in confidence, and ultimately, a cycle of poor performances could help or hinder his growth. Last thing I'll mention here is his inability to adapt to Day's expectations for leadership. Day puts a lot of emphasis on leadership for his quarterback. That's just a fact. But of course, that's not unique to Ryan Day. But that's something that Day is another guy who expects that Day places huge emphasis on the leadership and quarterback presence is another thing. Johnny talked about it last night, where he talked about Will Howard, and he wanted Will Howard in that huddle so people could look Will Howard in the eyes. And Will Howard understood that pretty much right away, or he understood that right away because he had been in college football in big games for many years. We got, I don't want to say a finished product technically as a quarterback in Will Howard, because he definitely improved technically speaking, but he was already a leader when he got here. We don't know that about Sand yet. If Sand struggles with leading this team both on and off the field, I mean, he's trying to step into that role, and I appreciate that about him. But if he isn't able to take control of the huddle, make crucial decisions in tight moments, it could be detrimental to his development. I mean, leadership issues can make Sand less effective in a critical game situation. where being strong vocal, you got to be a strong vocal leader in those situations. It's good, it could reflect as it could affect his relationships with his coaches, teammates, and what it's crucial for his long term success. But you know what? I actually think he'll be fine. I actually think he'll be fine. Um, these are things that, are things that we won't know now, but they're things that we'll know in time with him. The staff seems to be very high on him, so I have to think that he has answered some of these questions to at least some degree with them. But the reason why I think he'll be fine, and listen, this obviously goes into the fact that I think he's a hard worker. I think he's got talent. I think everything is set up for him to be good. The supporting cast is good. Everything at Ohio State is sets up players for success. All of that combined is a great recipe to make make a really good meal. But can you tell I'm hungry? Anyway, but the reason why I think he'll be fine is the man himself, the head coach, Ryan Day. He's just proven highly effective in developing young quarterbacks. I already pointed it out, and he transitions them into starting roles. You know, he he's got a blend of mentorship, schematic flexibility, and increasing responsibility as the QB gains confidence and experience. We've seen how he does this with other quarterbacks. Justin Fields is probably the primo example as to how he's done that. And the fact that he gave CJ Stroud more responsibility early on showed his confidence in CJ Stroud early on in his career. But how does Day typically handle young starting quarterbacks? See, that's the one thing I was like looked into, and I was like wondering about it because it was an interesting topic to me because of the fact we have Julian Sand coming back this year, and somehow we're one of the Vegas favorites to actually win the title, to repeat, and it just doesn't make sense to be the new quarterback. But I guess in today's day and age, we don't. Instant gratification is the way of life here in American sports and really in American life, period. Um, but what is Ryan Day? How does he approach handling a young starting quarterback? And I think it's absolutely just textbook. It gives him a gradual integration into the offense, right? The initial limited responsibilities for a young QB, they often starts with a simplified game plan. He focuses on short, quick passes, easy reads, heavy running game to support the quarterback. It helps the QB ease into the offense without overwhelming him. And the best example I can give of this, 2019 was like the absolute perfect example of what this says. When Justin Fields, when he was arrived at Ohio State, he had some limitations, and they gave him simpler options, more run heavy offense. Field using his legs a little bit more. It's like you did that with CJ Stroud as well. Now Stroud, ironically, would show us a little bit of inaccuracy on those short throws, which is ironic for Stroud because he's one of the most accurate passers I've ever seen. But we'd see those quick outs and things, those slants and those hook patterns and things like that. He would sometimes throw low when he would miss, but it was fine. I mean, obviously, it turned out well because it helped CJ grow, but it had a happy ending with CJ. But that being said, um, that it just reminds me of it. It's when you start reading about it, it starts to remind you of what you've seen over the past years. Um, King Bronco, I love you, buddy. Uh, anyway, what Ryan Day likes to focus on is development and confidence. He likes to build QB's comforts in their system, and he focuses on building a QB's confidence. He gives them a mix of simple and complex reads. Right? He doesn't expect perfection early on. At least I would hope not. My gosh. But he wants to grow. He wants to grow them through experience. And the funny part is Ryan Day is the perfect mentor for that because Ryan Day is a guy who can take the slings and arrows of the fan base for the quarterback. He's done it for all his players throughout his career. He's the perfect guy to do that. I mean, it takes a lot of guts and backbone to not give into the pressure of the fan base calling for that other quarterback. Remember when CJ Stroud early on, we were all calling for Kyle McCord. That's the funny thing is that how funny that turned out. But we were really early on. I mean, uh, I remember Johnny just outright hated CJ Stroud. Thought he was the worst thing since sliced bread. Just wanted him gone off the team. No, I'm kidding. I'm embellishing that a little bit, but we were all kind of calling for like, okay, let's see something different. And it was a few games into his career, and I admit going back on that, I was wrong, and I would jump the gun on that one hardcore, and I've admitted my fault in that. But Ryan Day is able to stick it out and let the guy develop, um, and understands where the guy is in the process. So it's Ryan Day more than anybody else who's going to be able to. Uh, I see you later, Buckeye Pay. You got to get some shut eye. Shoot. I'm right after I get done here. I promise you, that's where I'm going. But anyway, right? It's Ryan Day who has to show confidence in that quarterback, right? Um, I mean, the Julian Sands, yes, you'll hear the fans, you hear everybody else, but you know, uh, if his coach believes in him, he's going to believe in himself ultimately. And Ryan Day is the perfect one to do that because Ryan Day is a great mentor. Um, what does he use? What kind of play calls does he use for a young QB? He uses he uses RPOs and simplified reads. Uh, you know, I mean, Day's system features RPOs anyway, but they're designed to give young quarterbacks easier reads to make in real time. It's not the same as tell them to sit back and just look at, hey, Steely, what's up, guy? It's not the same as to sit back and just pick apart a defense, Tom Brady style. He's not expecting that right away. He's like, okay, this is your read. Got to read that linebacker. Is he cheating up? Okay, your receiver slants open, make the read. Or if it's not, hand it off, get rid of it. So basically, they can make decisions quickly without having to scan the field. And it builds confidence in their ability, and it becomes mundane for them. And once you have that down, you look onto it becomes almost like second nature. You look onto the next challenge, and you grow from there. So and I talked about mentorship earlier, but I mean, that's a big thing for Ryan Day: high level coaching and mentorship. He has a hands on approach coaching his quarterbacks. Now, maybe not. I mean, maybe not as much anymore because he's a CEO now, and they have Fessler now, who a lot of people uh, a lot of people believe in Fessler as a QB coach, and he's actually like what 29, 30 years old. He's actually around that age, so it'd be interesting to see how much of what he does for saying. But ultimately, it comes back to the mentor is Ryan Day. I'm sure Fessler will be in the room with the QB room, and he'll be running the drills with them. He'll be helping install, just saying into the offense and things like that. But Ryan Day is the guy, and he's the one with the reputation. Um, but he has always taken a hands-on approach to coaching his quarterbacks to at least one degree or another. He's big on footwork. He's big on the mechanics and reading defenses. That's what I love about Ryan Day is he teaches those things. He's not just, hey, let me go get a great athlete, put him at quarterback, and let him make plays. I mean, a lot of these coaches nowadays, I feel like, are trying to push the off script more than the system. And I get it to a degree. It's a little bit more unpredictable for defense, a little bit tougher, especially when you just have a freak of an athlete. But if you have a guy like Julian Sand, who's not much of an off script guy, he's just a guy who can read a defense. He can get the ball out of his hands quick. He has a quick release. He's accurate, make good decisions. And if he shows those other things that we have doubts about, like as far as his poise and his ability to handle pressure, uh, as I said earlier on, then he has the full package. And I mean, like I hearken it back to guys like Tom Brady, who I mean, I'm not saying Julian Sand's going to be Tom Brady. Please don't go there. Um, hey, Bob, how you doing? Uh, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is um, that he has those same similar attributes. Although he's more mobile than what he's given credit for, but that's obviously not his game. He's more of a Tom Brady style quarterback or CJ Stroud style quarterback. And as we've seen, that still works in today's game. And Ryan Day has a passion for teaching the full QB game. Oh, that's right. I said Bob Googs. My bad. I apologize for that. Oh man. Lunatic. Don't even compare those two. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go on a limb. I actually like Tom Brady. I know. I hate to say it. I'm sorry, guys. I know he's a Michigan man, but I like Tom. He's a winner. I can't even take that from him. And I think Julian Sand's a winner too, but he's got more to prove right now. But I mean, he works with him one-on-one practice all the time. I mean, it's funny because um, it's once Julian Sand becomes the guy a year or two down the road, you'll see the how Day emphasizes that veteran leadership mentoring the younger guys, as he did with Justin Fields, with CJ Stroud, as he did with Will Howard and Julian Sand, right? So the fact that he actually Day likes to emphasize veteran leadership quarterbacks mentoring the younger guys. Can we say that we had um can we say anybody like Steely? I love your passion, buddy. Can we say anybody is a better mentor as far as those other aspects of the game that we don't know yet about Julian Sand than Will Howard? Could he have had a better mentor than Will Howard? No. So I mean, if Ryan Day has got Will Howard teaching Julian Sand how to be a leader, I think we're in pretty good shape there. And I think we're going to have those questions answered really soon. And it's probably is you know one of the reasons why Julian Sand is like stepped up the way he has stepped up. Um, is because he's who he learned from last year. Um, but overall, in moving forward, gradually increases that QB responsibility. He builds it towards full control. I mean, Will Howard, yeah, absolutely, math. He is completely amazing, and he's a great tutor. You like how I did that? Like he's a great tutor for a young QB. Um, like JT Barrett was, for example. JT Barrett was a great teacher to Dwayne Haskins. People don't realize that. I mean, Dwayne Haskins had all the talent in the world. We all know that. JT, though, headsy player, gritty, knew how to prepare. He was, a hard worker, and he had, he was a winner. So, I mean, yeah, he can't throw the ball like Haskins could. Rest in peace. God bless you, Haskins family and Dwayne. But I'll just tell you what, all those other intangibles JT had, and you want somebody like that teaching your young QBs, and Will Howard was as good as any, and Brian Day to put that in charge of Julian Sand, who's this Corvette, this prized piece that they figure they can build around, and I think that's just brilliance on the part of Ryan Day on top of his own mentorship. But I'm talking about, yeah, I'll go back. I'm sorry, I'm getting off track here, but when he increases the QB's responsibility Will Howard towards the end of the season, into the playoffs, actually, he was calling audibles. He was getting more responsibility, it felt like, with Ryan Day. And Will Howard had only been here a season. Now he understood a lot of these passing concepts coming into Ohio State because he's been around the block a little bit. You just got to learn terminology and how Ryan Day likes it and things like that. You got to figure out how Ryan Day wants it done. But once he did, I mean, he started trusting Will Howard more and more as the season went on, and you saw the gradual growth of how Will Howard ran the offense. The team up north game notwithstanding, anyway. Um, but he starts adding to the complexity of the offense. More downfield throws, advanced progression reads, additional decision making responsibility. So I that's that's something I don't think we're going to see in Julian Sand right away, but that's part of the fun of it, right? The Ryan Day development and the Julian Sand combined with the Julian Sand talent is the development, the growth, and seeing where he is towards the end of the year. I think we were all waiting for that with Kyle McCord. It just didn't come to fruition. Um, Ryan Day is really great at adjusting to QB's strengths. He likes to personalize that offense a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong, the core is the core, and it's Ryan Day's offense, but he's flexible with the offensive scheme. And now he's not calling plays, so it'll be interesting. Now, this is going to be the second year with a different play caller, and this is a more inexperienced play caller, so it'll be a little bit interesting. But he's good at adapting the strengths of a young QB. He tailors a system to fit a QB's skill set. Doesn't mean, again, he's not completely changing the offense. He's not calling a bunch of different plays and things like that. But if they're more mobile, he'll change it to more reads and more zone. He's more accurate in arm strength. You'll see more of a CJ Stroud downfield attack and more quick hitters and things like that. But you know, it helps a young QB perform at their best. And here's another big one. Ryan Day likes to trust his QB in big moments, typically. Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Day is an excellent coach. I mean, I know I've questioned him as a head coach in the past. I don't anymore, but I did in the past. And Sean, you're right. He's a great man as well. That's more important. He's a great man. But Ryan Day is a fantastic, just A plus elite coach in my mind. I mean, and he always was. I just didn't know if he could be the head coach, but he is the first choice I would ever make as an offensive coordinator slash QB coach if I were running. If if tomorrow Ohio State said, "Hey, Corey Thompson, Dr. Cory Thompson, we're making you the head coach of Ohio State," after the whole city of Columbus burned to the ground for that decision, I would then name Ryan Day as my offensive coordinator, and I wouldn't even if he said no, I'd say I don't care. You're still my offensive coordinator. I don't care. I'm taking a salary of 75,000 a year. I'll give you 20 million. I don't care. You're going to make me look really good. So um, Ryan Day is Ryan Day is a single best offensive mind in Ohio State history, and that's not disputable in my opinion. But anyway, but increasingly he has trust as the season progresses, as I've just talked about. I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself on all these points here. Young QBs, they get more reps, they prove themselves in the system. It gives them more control in big moments. Sometimes he just puts the game in their shoulders in critical moments, third downs, so 2-minute drills, things like that, to gauge how they even handle pressure. I think he does that more early season. I think a great example of that is you saw oftentimes towards the end of the 2018 season, they just gave it to. I know he wasn't the head coach, but I mean, they just gave it to Dwayne Haskins and said it's your game. And honestly, you could say even in the 2019 season, he did it with Justin Fields, especially in the Big Ten game when we were down to Wisconsin. Said, "Go win us the game." So obviously the big moment at the end of the game, of the Clemson game, was all on Justin Fields' shoulders. I mean, it wasn't his fault that happened, but you know what I'm saying. Like, he trusts his QBs in big moments. And it gradually increases as it's felt like it was more of leaning on J.K. Dobbins in that 2019 season with Justin Fields. It's not a bad strategy. I mean, J.K. was amazing. The offensive line was amazing. The run game was amazing, but it's not a bad thing. But you saw it slowly become more and more Justin Fields' team as the year went on. So and this is something that's in dispute a little bit, but this is my last point I'll make on this. Julian will be great, Sean. I agree. I think he will be. And Googs, Days emerged as an icon and an epic nationally renowned. Yes, he is. Genius see it. Yep. And Johnny said it last night. He is absolutely putting a clinic on as how to manage all the stuff that's going on in college football right now. And I think he'll continue just to get better and better at it. And he really, that last month of the season in the playoffs, grew exponentially as a head coach and a CEO, and just earned everybody's respect. Not everybody. When you have multiple fan bases hating on you, I think Tennessee, Oregon, Michigan, they like to hate on Ryan Day a lot. Well, we all know why. Game time management, early confidence building are a couple things that he works well with these young quarterbacks. Now it's going to be hard because a debut game, he eases the QB in. It ain't going to happen this time. I don't know how he's going to manage it with Texas being the debut game, but especially with a new play caller and Brian Hartline. I like this. Oh my gosh, Julian will be great. Just saying. Yes, nice pun. I like it. Yeah, yeah, Steely, Johnny's my brother, and if Lisa and I get married, he is absolutely my best man. He knows that. Um, I love Johnny's takes. He's really good, and in fact, the funny part is Johnny and I started a podcast together because we heard each other individually and said, you know what, I like that guy's takes. I think we make a good team. It was like 7-8 years ago. Feels like 30 years ago. Because I feel old these days. But Day often sets his young quarterbacks up for success in their debut games. But again, it's going to be it's going to be interesting to see how I can't even tell you how I think he can handle it this time around with Texas. He's just going to. I think he's going to. That's why I think you're going to see him lean on the run game heavily against Texas. But Texas, they're not stupid. They're going to try to make Julian beat him. It'll be interesting um, how Ryan Day goes about that, because this is a little bit different. This is a little bit different animal to tackle. But yeah, just to sum up everything, guys, there's some things to watch out for with his intangibles, right? How does he handle pressure? Does he handle being the QB at Ohio State? How does he handle better competition? Absolutely, Steely, absolutely. Um, does he handle the pressure? Does he handle the pressure of a big school? Does he adjust to the big time competition very well? Um, we're gonna need it quick. You ain't lying, Madness. Um, but that the physical intangibles are there to be great in Ryan Day's system, and we have the greatest QB coach in all of college football. So you combine those efforts, and the fact that he also has a mentor in Ryan Day, who, as Sean pointed out, he's a great man. You know, leads me to believe we should have all the confidence in the world in him. I mean, look, I'm not going to try to pick on people. There's a reason why some guys are transferring out when they see Julian Sand in the practice field, and it's not because they're afraid of competition. Or I'm not. I don't like to go that route, because I think you're impugning a guy's character a little bit when you do that. But that being said, I've never been big on that. But that being said, or impugning not his character but his motives. Um, I just think the coaches have basically set down the playbook and had a tough conversation with the rest of the QB room, no matter what people say publicly, and said, "Look, this guy is the one we really feel can take us where we want to go next year and beyond, because he's going to be here at least 2 years." Um, there's a reason for that. They've been glowing about him since day one, and I just don't think they'd be glowing about him if he hadn't shown certain things to show them that he can handle some adversity. Because it isn't like Ryan Day just puts him through a couple of drills and says, "Hey, yeah, you look pretty good, man. I'm excited about you." Because they can all run drills really well. They can all do 7-and-7s really well. There's definitely things coaches do in the locker room and throughout practice and throughout, just to manage the toughness of how you handle certain things that are thrown at you. And to be honest with you, um, there's something else that likely excited Ryan Day about Julian Sand that was beyond his ability to throw a football. I mean, yeah, that excites him too, because Ryan Day is a technical wizard with the quarterbacks, but and also his ability to, and absorb the offense and things like that. But there's got to be some adversity challenges that Ryan Day has put him through that he passed with flying colors, or that he came back from, that when he didn't pass or whatever, and he let it roll off his back and suited back up and went back out there and did his best, that made Ryan Day say, "This kid's special." And I don't think, Ryan, and this wasn't an original. I mean, Ryan Day did recruit him, but he went to Bama. This wasn't an original Ryan Day guy. Aaron Nolan obviously was. And I'm not saying Aaron Nolan can't be those things, but for whatever reason, Julian Sand jumped out in front of him. So, and I'm not knocking Aaron Nolan. I'm rooting for him at South Carolina. I hope he can be a great player. I think he can be. But right now I'm talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes and with their next quarterback and Julian Sand. There's more reason than throwing a couple passes as to why they're excited about him. And I trust Ryan Day as a QB coach more than anybody I would in the country. So, guys, I appreciate that. That's been my little rundown on. I apologize if I sound a little tired. It was a long day, but I was glad to join you guys tonight. A little bit shorter show than usual, not quite an hour. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that, because I actually enjoyed looking into it, and I enjoyed seeing some of the similarities between what makes Julian a great fit for Ryan Day's system. So, as always, guys, smash, as the Podfather would say, like that like button. Subscribe if you like what you see. Share with a friend. And is looking for, I think I think Eric will be back Thursday with a call-in show. And Eric's been posting podcasts like a madman anyway, so I think you'll see some things from him this week. And of course, we'll be back with the roundtable next week. As always, guys, I appreciate you. Goodbye. God bless. And of course, go Bucks.